Eating out. In this material, we will see vocabulary related to restaurants and ways of cooking. Some of the people who work in a restaurant are chef. A chef is an expert cook, especially the chief cook in a hotel or restaurant. A waitress or a waiter is a person who serves food at the tables in a restaurant. Types of cooking. Food can be cooked by using one of two types of heat transfer, conductive or convective. Direct transfer of heat is conductive, and indirect transfer of heat is convective. Types of cooking by conductive heat. Fry. We're going to distinguish between three kinds of frying. Deep fry is a large amount of fat is heated to about 177 degrees Celsius in a heavy saucepan or an electric appliance called a deep fryer. The hot fat completely covers the food. Deep frying is a popular way of cooking chicken, potatoes in chips, U.S. French fries, and shrimp. Pan fry. It is also called sauté, which means cooking in a small amount of fat. Chicken, eggs, fish, and red meat are often sauté or pan-fried. Stir fry. Meat or vegetables are cut into small pieces and cooked in an extremely small amount of fat. The cook fries the food at high temperature for only a few minutes and stirs it constantly. Broil. The food lies directly under a continuous heat source. The surface of the meat lies from 8 to 13 centimeters under the flames in a gas range broiler or below the broiler heating unit in an electric oven. Grill. In grilling, the food is placed on a rack from 8 to 13 centimeters above the heat, or it lies directly over the heat source, such as hot coals or a dry pan on the stove. In barbecuing, highly seasoned meat is grilled over hot coals. Types of cooking by convective heat. Dry convective heat. Roast. Roasting refers to cooking food, usually meat, uncovered in hot air. The meat is placed on a rack in an oven. The temperature usually ranges from 149 to 177 degrees Celsius. Roast beef, for example, is cooked in this way. Rotisserie is a cooking device with a rotating spit on which meat is roasted. It is also a shop or restaurant providing food cooked in this way. Smoke. Dry and preserve meat or fish with smoke from wood fires. For example, smoked ham or smoked salmon. Bake. Cook by dry heat in an oven. It is a method applied to the cooking of foods made from a batter or dough. Such foods include breads, cakes, cookies, and pastries. However, casseroles, a few vegetables, fruits, some cuts of meats can also be baked. Moist convective heat. Steam. Food is cooked in the vapor produced by boiling water. It is used mostly to cook vegetables. To steam vegetables, place them on a rack in a saucepan and add water to the saucepan. The water collects below the rack and the vegetables remain above and out of the liquid. Cover the saucepan and heat it on a burner until the water boils and forms steam, which surrounds and cooks the vegetables. Steaming takes longer than boiling. However, steamed vegetables retain better color and flavor than boiled vegetables do. They also have more nutrients because certain vitamins, including vitamin C, dissolve easily in water and may be removed by boiling. The other cases of cooking by moist convective heat are boil, simmer, and poach. The difference between them is just a matter of temperature degrees. Boil. Food is cooked in boiling water, which has a temperature of about 100 degrees Celsius. In boiling, air bubbles rise to the surface of the water and break. Potatoes and other vegetables are often boiled in a saucepan over a burner. Simmer. Food is cooked in liquid that is just below the boiling point. The temperature is usually between 85 and 96 degrees Celsius. Cooks often use covered saucepans to simmer foods. Slow cookers are electric appliances that simmer foods at low temperatures for 4 to 12 hours. A cook puts the food and some water in a slow cooker and sets the temperature. Health experts recommend caution when using a slow cooker for meat and other foods prone to bacterial growth at warm temperatures. Use sanitary methods in preparing the food and keep it refrigerated until just before cooking. Poach. Poaching generally calls for food to be fully submerged in a liquid between 70 and 80 degrees Celsius. The liquid is generally well flavored. For instance, wine or olive oil infused with herbs and spices to cook poached salmon. Now, we will watch a video about types of heat transfer for cooking.
All right, this is what this class is all about, types of heat transfer, how we transfer heat to food. There are two basic ways to transfer heat to food: conductive and convective. All cooking processes are either conductive or convective. Conductive heat is direct source heat. Direct source heat applied like in sauté. Directly the heat to the bottom of the pan, from the inside of the pan to the protein product. Conductive cooking is like sauté. Conductive cooking, broil. Direct source heat from the top, broiling, or in the salamander. Broiling. Conductive heat, direct source heat, grilling from the bottom. Heat applied directly to the item. Sauté, broil, grilling, all direct source, conductive cooking processes. Other processes are convective. This is when the heat is applied indirectly to the item. So convective cooking is roasting, because heat is imparted to the item through hot air. The heat doesn't touch the item directly. In an oven, it's a hot box, right? The hot box heats, the heat rises, cools, falls, rises, cools, falls. It begins this convective process. Whether you got a fan in the back of your oven or not, whether you have a convection oven or not, it's still a convective cooking process because the heat is applied indirectly to the food through air. Convective cooking processes. Steaming. Steaming is a convective cooking process because the heat is applied to the food indirectly through steam. Support the item above simmering liquid, the steam cooks the food above it. It's not in direct contact with the food, but it's a convective process because it contacts it indirectly. Then we have boil, simmer, and poach that we're going to learn about. Big difference between boil, simmer, and poach, but they're convective cooking processes because the heat is applied to the food indirectly through moisture. So, go ahead. Rotisserie could be conductive because you've got the thing spinning and the direct source heat behind it. Absolutely. Rotisserie. Hopefully I spelled that right. Good example of conductive heat because it's applied directly to it. Can we think of another convective cooking process? Smoking. Very good. Because heat is applied to the food through the smoke, through the heated air, the dry air. It's indirect. So this is the first concept to get in this class, our principles of mastering meals, that all cooking processes are either conductive or convective. The heat is applied directly or the heat is applied indirectly. And this is going to help you, trust me, as we go forward, when we say we're going to saute something, just knowing that it's a conductive cooking method, that you're supposed to be applying the heat directly to the item, not indirectly, that's going to help you with the amount of fat that you put in the pan, to remember that. Roasting, remember that roasting is a dry, convective cooking method. It's going to help you remember that if we roast potatoes or something, they need to be all dried. If you put a whole bunch of wet potatoes in the oven, what do you get? You get steamed potatoes, not roasted potatoes. You've changed it from a dry process to a moist process. When people take a baked potato and wrap it in tin foil and then put it in the oven, is this dry or moist? You would think that it's roasting, it's moist, but because it's wrapped in the tin foil, it actually steams in its own moisture. So a baked potato wrapped in tin foil is a steamed potato. It's not a baked potato. So this one underlying principle on day one, the difference between conductive and convective cooking, is extremely important. Not only will it show up on question after question after question on tests and things like that, it helps you focus your mind into what the end result is going to be when we cook something. Dry conductive, dry convective, moist conductive. Every cooking process falls into one or the other.